So what's up everybody, this is going to be my predictions for Black Clover 3:30. I think Beelzebub is going to be mentioned in this chapter and we're going to get more devil lore just basing on the fact of going back through chapters and also looking at the reference between the Dark Triad and also Xenon, as well as looking at demonology. So let's get into my Black Clover 3:30 predictions. First of all, if you like anime, manga reviews, discussion, spoilers, and theories, definitely hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, switch to hit me with some false copyright strikes, so it'd be highly appreciated if you comment and subscribe. I didn't boot you out. I have a second channel that focuses mainly on One Piece. Sounds like you guys want me to do Boruto as well, so check that out as well. Watch out for the Patreon and Discord. So this chapter is going to be very important. It's something that's going to be very critical in the Black Clover series moving forward, because now that 𝚘𝚙𝚅 has been defeated, we're not entirely sure if 𝚘𝚘𝚅 has been killed or not, or just this body that he used as basically a medium. Some people actually said that 𝚘𝚘𝚅 is going to disintegrate this chapter. Other people say that he's not. I'm more towards him not being written off the series as of yet, but of course this is 𝚘𝚘's story, not mine. It could go either way. I think his real body is going to be in the underworld. However, I wouldn't mind if 𝚘𝚘𝚅 gets killed because it leaves room for Beelzebub, and like I said before in other videos, in demonology, Beelzebub does have a thing called the Order of the Flies, and it's basically different demons in this order that he's the head of. Beelzebub is in charge of, or the leader of. 𝚘𝚘 is actually one of the demons in there, and also 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢. Funny enough, 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢 has been shown in the series, and it doesn't seem like he has much respect for 𝚘𝚘𝚅, because when 𝚘𝚘 defeated him, he looked menacingly happy, because he was even clapping at the end of the battle. Remember that he didn't help out 𝚘𝚘𝚅 fight the humans, so it was almost like he was hoping that 𝚘𝚘𝚅 was going to lose, but at the end of the day, he didn't have much expectations, because he did have a line that said there's not much humans can do. So to me, it's kind of leaning that we're going to have more of a devil, a lore reveal, and I think the reason why 𝚲𝚘𝚙𝚢 and other devils don't really respect 𝚘𝚘𝚅 like we thought they would, because Magicla basically went behind 𝚘𝚘𝚅's back. 𝚲𝚘𝚙𝚢 basically disrespected 𝚘𝚘𝚅 and didn't want to help him out. He is the Devil King. Why wouldn't you want to help him out? Maybe there is another faction in the underworld that has to do with Beelzebub, and because the Order of the Flies is a group of demons that Beelzebub is the leader of, I wouldn't be surprised if Beelzebub is basically having influenced the devils to stop respecting 𝚘𝚘𝚅. Because if you think about it, going back to the Heart Queen, Lord Pacheca, went through like her ancestors' memories library, she found out that the Tree of Qliphoth has been opened before. So it looks like 𝚘𝚘𝚅 lost already. With that being said, the fact that he lost already could lead tension to other devils, because they end up getting sealed back into the underworld from the first time, and a lot of them still remember that. That bitterness could lead devils to question 𝚘𝚘𝚅's right to be the leader of the devil race. So even though he's saying that he's the strongest, his magic is the most powerful, I highly doubt that, because he's at the same level as Beelzebub and 𝚘𝚅, which makes me to believe that Beelzebub, who we know possesses Xenon, most likely is going to be plotting against 𝚘𝚘𝚅. And if you think about it, 𝚘𝚅 is also in the Order of the Flies, and we can assume the Time Devil is 𝚘𝚅, just basing on demonology because of the evil trinity, which is 𝚘𝚘𝚅, Beelzebub, and 𝚘𝚘𝚅. We already been confirmed to have Beelzebub and 𝚘𝚘𝚅 in it, and then 𝚘𝚅 will most likely be on the side of Beelzebub. So two of the three devils at the bottom, Devil of the Tree of Qliphoth, who was the strongest, are most likely planning against 𝚘𝚘𝚅. And a lot of people have been saying that 𝚘𝚘𝚅's trash, that he's garbage, and if you think about it, he kind of fits what happened to Dante, because if you look at the Dark Triad, specifically Dante and Xenon, their hosts kind of foreshadowed who they are in a sense, because Dante, when he was fighting Asta and Yami, Dante ended up having 4 arms in that fight. Dante was stomping Asta to the ground, and Asta was pretty beat up. He was showing that he was somewhat of a brawler. And then when 𝚘𝚘𝚅 came out, 𝚘𝚘𝚅 ended up having 4 arms. He actually punched Asta to the ground in a similar style as Dante when he was stomping him. And then Asta used the Demon Slasher Katana to finish off Dante, and when Asta was fighting 𝚘𝚘𝚅, he tried to do the same thing with the same sword. So there's some parallel to those two fights. From what we're looking at, we always thought that Dante was the leader of the Dark Triad, but it's been shown that really the leader was Xenon. I think this is going to foreshadow their devils as well. I think what's going to happen is that Beelzebub is really the leader of basically the devils. He's been plotting this since the first time they got sent back into the underworld, from the failure that happened last time when the Tree of Qliphoth opened. So I'm guessing what's going to happen next chapter is that we're gonna get more lore to the devil race and to that past incident that happened long ago. I wouldn't be surprised if 𝙲𝚘𝚡𝚝 is going to be in this chapter and she's gonna explain a little bit more as to what she knows from the last opening of the Tree of Qliphoth. I think we're gonna get that dialogue coming in soon. It might not be this chapter, but it's definitely gonna be the next couple of chapters. Like I said before, I definitely believe 𝙲𝚘𝚎's power is gonna be poisoned. His magic's most likely going to be revealed this chapter, but it makes me wonder what's gonna happen to Yami and not. Like, are they going to actually end up dying in this chapter? Is it possible somebody can heal them? I'm not entirely sure what will happen, but something tells me that Yami might end up dying this arc. Just going from what I'm hearing in the community and also just in my opinion, Yami might end up dying. The only thing I have a problem with is like if they have an arc in his homeland, what will happen? So that's my only issue with that. I definitely see a lot of death flags on Yami. Not I don't see as much because he had that speech with Yami and something tells me that Not might end up living, because just basically on past anime logic, when a character wants to die, he doesn't end up dying like Not did. He learns that life is valuable and then he changes his life, and then the character that doesn't want to die does end up dying a lot of times. I think that might happen here. We might get something along the line that Yami might end up dying, and then the next arc ends up being with the Clover Kingdom going to Yami's homeland. Are they going to go to visit his family, learn about his life, possibly grieve and tell the news of his family that Yami passed away? Because we're not entirely sure of Yami's background before he went to the Clover Kingdom, which leaves more room for backstory. So that's why I don't think he's gonna die. But if Yami were to die in this arc, it'll be perfect. It will have such a stronger impact emotionally to the arc if Yami were to die. But I just wonder who's going to heal Not or try to attempt to heal them. Mimosa doesn't seem like she has enough power, has enough mana. Gray, she probably doesn't have as much mana right now, but she could probably do something because she did the same thing when Asta was fighting Dante. She ended up healing the mirror guy. I forget his name. With that being said, going back to Beelzebub, I definitely see him being a major part of this chapter because I read one of you guys' comments. The contract that Xenon did with Beelzebub, he did say that, hey, I'll give you my soul, just make sure that the Spade Kingdom is basically alright. And if 𝙲𝚘𝚎 were to come out and do what he was supposed to do in terms of annihilating all of humanity, then that contract that Beelzebub had with Xenon will be obsolete, meaning that Beelzebub will no longer have Xenon's soul. Another reason why 𝙲𝚘𝚎 most likely didn't do anything was because the orders he had from Beelzebub. That could be another indicator that Beelzebub has been plotting basically a backstabbing of 𝙲𝚘𝚎 so he can be the rightful king of devils. I think that might be the case. I know some people have been saying that 𝙲𝚘𝚎 would train Liebe and Asta, and I don't think that's possible. I mean, it could be if Liebe and Asta are Astaroth and then Tabata creates his own time devil, but if Asta and Liebe are Astaroth, then I definitely see 𝚲𝚘𝚎 or some dog devil being around them, because Astaroth he's always shown with a hellhound or a dog demon. So if Asta and Liebe are Astaroth, then they most likely need a second devil that's going to be more of a hellhound, and we already know one, which is 𝚲𝚘𝚎. 𝚲𝚘𝚎 kind of did travel with Asta and Liebe at one point. So if that's the case, that'd be awesome. I definitely think Beelzebub is going to be the real villain, because Xena actually has been a really great villain. People are saying that there's been no good villains in this arc. No, Xenon has been a very decent villain. We got his backstory. We realized that Xenon is not an actual bad person. He became bad in a sense to protect the Spade Kingdom. You saw his descent from being a good-hearted person to being what he is now. He had to kill his friend to save the kingdom from that devil, which ironically he ended up becoming a devil, but he actually died and there was backstory to it. He is a very good villain. In my opinion, I think Xenon's actions and how Xenon was the actual leader of the Dark Triad is going to be a foreshadowing as to who his devil is. Beelzebub, he is going to be the real leader of the devil race. But yes, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Those are my predictions for Black Clover 330. Let me know what you think is going to happen this chapter. Do you believe that Beelzebub is the real villain? Do you think that he's pulling the strings to do a backstabbing of 𝙲𝚘𝚎? Do you think that the Dark Triads, Xenon and Dante, are going to be somewhat of a foreshadowing as to how the devils are? Because we all thought that Dante was the leader of the Dark Triad, but it ended up being Xenon. It could be the same thing where we thought 𝙲𝚘𝚎 was the leader, but in reality it's Beelzebub. Do you think that the devils that got sent back into the Tree of Qliphoth are mad because 𝙲𝚘𝚎 lost the first time years ago when the Tree of Qliphoth opened and 90% of the population ends up dying? Like if you liked the video, comment, subscribe, and I'm out of here.